Welcome to KP Media Podcast, the space where we explore ideas, policies, and people sharing Africa's development. I'm Jean-Pierre Kagabo, and today's episode is a special one. Agra marks 20 years of impact across the continent. We turn our focus to Rwanda, one of the countries where agricultural transformation has been central to national development. I'm honored to be joined by Mr. Jean-Paul Ndagijimana, the country director for Agra in Rwanda. Together, we reflect Agra 2 decades of work, its contribution to Rwanda's agriculture journey, and how partnerships, seed systems, markets, and inclusive policies are shaping sustainable and resilient food systems. We also explore the critical role of youth and women, the pivotal sector, to the private sector, and what the future holds for Rwanda's agriculture as Agra looks ahead to its next phase. Jean-Paul Ndagijimana, welcome.
Thank you very much.
What Agra doing in Rwanda, and what are you celebrating in this occasion as you celebrate 20 years of Agra existence in Africa, but also in Rwanda?
Thank you very much. Maybe first of all, let me inform people who may not know Agra what Agra is, and when it started and how it started. Agra is a Pan-African international non-government organization funded by the late Kofi Annan when he was still in office and thinking about how to transform Africa. And his really zeal was towards where many Africans are. And that's why we are about agriculture, because across the continent, over 60% of Africans live on agriculture. So he was dreaming of a green revolution that mirror what happened in Asia, but that is truly and uniquely African. So Agra was created in 2006. And immediately after that, he started working across Africa, including Rwanda. So a question about what we've done in the last 20 years and what contribution have we done on the government agenda, I would mention 3 things. The first one is capacity building. As many people know, Rwanda has had a dark history in 1994 when there was a genocide against the Tutsis and the country was in ruin. In the process of rebuilding, agriculture also was part of the systems to be rebuilt. So Agra started by saying, okay, what is mostly needed? By then, what was needed was human capacity. Mm-hmm. So Agra, through Rockefeller Foundation, Gates Foundation, and others, invested in educating Rwandan scientists, especially breeders and people who are involved in extension, so that we can revamp and rebuild the sector almost from scratch. So in terms of number, we've paid over 50 masters, people who have masters of science, either in crop science, plant genetics, breeding, and also have paid about 27 PhDs of Rwandans who are in various sectors developing the country in one way or another. We have also supported the ministry, mainly RAB, Rwanda Agriculture Board, because that's where research and extension are. And in addition to giving them staff, we have also given them equipment like vehicles, laboratories, detergent, implements, let's say for the potato in vitro plant in Ruhengeri and others, Musanze and others. So we basically say the country needs not only human, but also it needs material, it needs finances, it needs equipment. And over the last 20 years, roughly $20 million have been invested in Rwanda. And we are proud to see some good impact in area of now Rwanda having its own varieties of maize, whereas about 6-7 years ago we were importing. Now we have our locally breeded varieties that are high yielding, reaching many. We are doing the same in rice, you're doing the same in soya, we're doing the same in potato. I would say not all of that is done by Agra, but our contribution is significant. Also, I would say that Rwanda has played a big role in structuring the market. When we facilitate big investors like Africa Improved Food, Soico, and others to come in Rwanda, one of the benefits is to source from Rwanda, to buy maize from Rwanda. So when Africa Improved Food was starting in 2016, they couldn't buy their maize in Rwanda. And I got involved, Agra got involved, and we analyzed what was the issue. The issue was the quality of maize produced by Rwandans, because we were producing aflatoxin. And because African
So the rejection rate was very high, right?
Right. Actually, the rejection rate for maize sourced in Rwanda was 90%.
Oh.
So they were only taking 10% of Rwandan maize, yet the factory is in Rwanda. So we sat and said, okay, how can we deal with this constraint that is not only affecting the factory because of cost of transport, but also denying Rwandans their due right to sell their maize to this factory. So we injected money into a CG center called AITA. We worked with the RAB post-harvest unit. We started really approaching the aflatoxin problem from two angles. The first one was a biological angle, where through AflaSafe, farmers were accessing pathogens that would make it difficult for the fungus called aflatoxin to attack the maize, but also from the management of post-harvest, where we introduced what you're calling selling the maize on the cob instead of waiting to grain it, to share it. And that method, combined with other intervention, turned the situation where now today, as we speak, over 90% of Rwandan maize are acceptable by Africa Improved Food, structuring the market with cooperative and making easy for Rwandans to make money.
It sounds good. How does Agra work with the government of Rwanda and the other partners to shape policies and partnerships that drive sustainable and inclusive food systems?
Government is our first partner. In fact, wherever Agra is in Africa, the first door we knock to is the door of government, because we believe at Agra that there is no person who can love the citizen of the country more than their government. So here, we work very closely with all organs of the government, starting from local government, district level, province level, and then at ministerial level. And our door to the government system is Ministry of Agriculture. And in the last 10 years plus, we have been one of the key players in coming up with a strategy, for the sector. Currently, the PSTF5, Plan Stratégique de Transformation Agricole, was literally financed a big portion by Agra.
So that is an agricultural strategic plan for 5 years?
For 5 years. And that built also on the NST2, and when NST2 was being designed, many people were giving
NST2
input.
being a national strategy
for transformation. Yeah. And that NST2 also guides the mandate of the president. So basically, I would say our influence as Agra is all the way from the top to bottom, but all with the goal of benefiting the smallholder farmers. Like 3 policies I could mention. Last year, we launched the policy that will make it possible for youth in agriculture to find the 4 accesses: access to land, access to market, access to finance, and access to information. And that policy came up where Agra, FAO, and the Ministry of Agriculture and its partner sat together and say, okay, we have now PSTF5, but how can we customize it to make it easy and beneficial to young people? So the launch of that was at Kigali Convention. And now we are starting to see, as we monitor implementation, many youth accessing land, many youth accessing finance, many youth accessing market, and many youth also having tailored information depending on what value chain they are involved in.
Like you highlighted, strengthening the system was the main focus for Agra in Rwanda. What other progress have you made so far? How do you involve the private sector, since this has remained a very big challenge for agricultural transformation in Rwanda?
Yeah, if I take you down history lane, around 2015, 2014, the seed production was mainly done by government. Seed distribution was mainly done by government. Seed quality control was mainly done by government. So in our last strategy that started in 2018, we sat with government to say, this is too much of a burden for you. Can we bring in private sector to take some of the heavy burden, use their money, and then free up the government to focus more on regulation and policy? So we had 0 private seed company in 2016. Through our investment and working with government and private sector, as we speak today, we have over 20 seed companies. Where government was the sole producer of seed, now actually government has moved now to the first level of seed production. There are 4 levels in seed production. There's what we call foundation seed. This is done by the breeders, and this need to be done through research station, and that's where government now is focusing. But from that level now, second level basic seeds, we have now private companies that get those breeder seed from lab and then start multiplying it. And then the third level is a certified seed, where from breeder seed, the seed produced from those are certified to be seed of quality. And that also is fully done by private sector. And then there is what we call quality declared seed, the 4th level, mainly in potatoes and beans, that also completely done by private sector. So what we've done, we've lessened the burden of the government to carry the whole load and say, focus where it's pivotal. And because from the right beginning, it's spread, and then the burden is carried by the private sector. The other thing that I would say that is done now by the private sector is the marketing aspect. It's very easy for government to put on plants and manage them, but because it's a public good, most of those government managed or owned commercial entities do relatively moderate compared to an entrepreneur who say, I'm going to start a company, this is my source of living, that's where I make money. So we have encouraged and worked with government to, where possible, privatize, government-owned factories, plantations. Like in tea, for example, most of tea plantation were government-owned. Now, majority of them are private sector driven. It has played a big role in ensuring that quality is there, competitiveness is there. I was in Mombasa the other day. Rwandan tea was number 1 in East Africa. I was in the US. Rwandan coffee, is being sold in Starbucks. All of those are done by private sector, and they're making money and paying taxes. So we find partnership between government and private sector is a win-win.
Yeah, that's good. How is Agra supporting market access for smallholder farmers and the growth of agri-SMEs, and what role does this private sector play in this transformation?
Market is important. And what we have managed, I would say we are very close to get there, which was sad in the past. Rwandan farmers used to farm to supply to the market. But that supply was not assured, like who will buy from the farmer. And as a result, you may have heard stories of people who had a bumper harvest and nobody to buy from them. Or even people, now it's no longer the case, but you could see driving around Rwanda, people stopping you with a crate of banana or pineapples, begging you to buy. That was breaking our hearts. So what we did is, let's figure out what is the demand of these commodities, and then structure a demand-driven production to replace the supply-driven production that we had in the past. So today, what you are calling contract farming, you know, it's normal. Whereas a few years back, nobody would know how to do it. And basically what it means, before a farmer produce, either cooperative or individual or a large farmer, they sign a contract with a buyer. And in most cases, that buyer would buy from them, even before he buy the produce, contribute by giving them input, by giving them fertilizer, by giving them chemicals, because he know they are producing for him. And as a result, we have increased the standards of Rwandan commodity. We have assured factories that the supply is consistent, and have removed this chancing. Will I get a buyer? Will I get the produce? And we hope actually over time, we'll even be able to predict the surplus that Rwandan factory don't need, and encourage additional factories now to come and do value addition, to come and do export. But the beginning is every Rwandan producing whatever it is, maize, soya, horticulture, should be assured and sleep very soundly, because they know their produce will be taken by a buyer who will be paying them fair price. So we call it structured market. So Agra play a big role in making sure, especially for smallholder farmers, their market is structured through aggregation, warehousing, and relationship to off-takers.
Yeah, thank you. Youth and women are critical to Rwanda's future. How is Agra enabling their meaningful participation and leadership across agricultural value chain?
That's a very good question. Rwandan youth, and actually similar to other African countries, form the majority of the population. And not planning for their welfare will not be very wise. So thankfully, with the leadership of the country, we know youth are taken care of, youth are thought of, youth are supported. The same thing with Agra. We said youth may not want to be in primary production because maybe of its reliance on handiwork, strong sun, and all those. But we have introduced, technology. We have introduced greenhouses. We have introduced mechanized production, and youth are enjoying it. Yeah. They are able to program, irrigation through their iPad and iPhone. They are able to do crop production using technology instead of using manual hands. And they are able actually to control pests and diseases using sensors that require internet and electricities. And the good thing is Rwanda, and this need to be verified, but the cost of data in Rwanda is among the cheapest on the continent, actually comparable to India. What does that do? WhatsApp, is there. Ability to take a picture of your crop and send it to a system, and then somebody getting back. Basically, this virtual advisory, and now using artificial intelligence, it's making Rwandan youth be very much ahead in terms of making money out of agriculture. You may know more than 1, 2, 3 young people who left their banking career, who left their teaching career, who left their other career to come in agriculture because they make more money than what they used to make there. So that's the trend. And the good news is the government is very supportive. Been working with the Ministry of Youth. Soon we'll be giving out about 3,000 greenhouses. We have a target of 132,000 young Rwandans, most of them women, to get jobs by 2028. And we know as they show their appetite and they find a system that is ready to support them, we won't struggle to find labor or youth-produced agriculture commodities in Rwanda.
When you go through your newly launched strategy, it seems like you are focusing on some key value chains like avocado, chili, and poultry. Why that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to link to the first one, because as we look at young people and when they come to agriculture where they can make money, horticulture comes first for two benefits. One, if you take, for example, chili, if you plant chili today, in 6 months, you are making money, and chili is
I think even less.
or less. And chili is a globally sought after commodity, especially for Rwandan soil that is volcanic. Today we can't meet the demand of chili we have.
Volcanic for some parts of the country, not the whole country.
So if every young person who can produce chili choose to do chili, we can guarantee the market and a fair price. So young people are saying, okay, instead of sitting home, if I can make money in 3-6 months, why don't I get involved, right? That's one. And then two, avocado. We look at crops that can give you a long-term security in terms of reliable income. Avocado come among the first. Because if in the first 3 years, before it starts producing, you can intercrop with other plants, you make money. And now when it kicks in now and start producing, you can actually milk that avocado for over 20 years. And per average, 1 tree of avocado can produce up to 182 kind of, how do you call it? Avocado, right? Avocados. And then when you multiply that in an average, where 1 kilo, it's around 3 avocados. And then you sell them on the international market, where 1 kilo, it's around $3. You can start setting your salary before, and many young people are coming in there.
Yeah, exactly. Looking to the next phase of Agra's work in Rwanda, what is your vision and what key message would you like to share with policymakers, partners, and even young Rwandans?
Policymakers, maybe let me start. I'm happy with where we are as a country because we are a country that knows where we are going. We have Vision 2050, we have Vision 2035, we have Vision 2029, So we are a country that know the destination. And as we try to get the roadmap to get there, we are not lost in terms of where we are going. So that's a good thing. And I will strongly encourage all sectors to have a mirror strategy, a mirror vision that is fully aligned with the national vision and strategy. So that's for the policymakers. And the challenge that I see today, which is not a big one, is the implementation of the policies and the strategy we have. Right now we are supporting the Ministry of Agriculture to come up with a detailed implementation plan of PSTF5 with targets, milestones, key players, accountability mechanism. Because I believe if all policies we have and strategy we have are rightly implemented, the speed of development we have, it's unparalleled. So that's for policy. We are there. We just need to strengthen implementation and deal with binding constraints that make our vision remain paper-based instead of reality-based. Private sector, I would say Rwanda is among few African countries where we have put in mechanism, one, to de-risk the agriculture sector, but two, to make it easy and possible to access finance. We do regularly meet all the financial institutions that are involved in finance with the Minister of Agriculture to check on their role and involvement. Today, I can tell you, there is enough liquidity, there is enough money to meet the need of any and everyone involved in agriculture sector in Rwanda today. If you do a combination of Rwanda Development Bank and financial institution and circles, we have enough liquidity. where there is a problem, and that's where I hope people who are listening to our podcast can take note. It's in matching what the financier need and the people requesting finance has. There's still a capacity gap. Documents are poorly presented, and when now the financier try to do what we call due diligence to see whether this project is bankable, a lot of gaps and missing. And as Agra now, we have invested in BDS, calling Business Development Services, working with other players in government to ensure that if you have a good idea, but you don't know how to package it, we give you support in packaging that. And if that is done, the private sector will really benefit from investing in agriculture. And now, when you go even to the bigger size ticket, like people who need 1 million USD or more, we have a platform called Africa Food System Forum that happens in Rwanda every other year, even this year to happen here. In that platform, there's a whole section we call Deal Room. The Deal Room, it's a matchmaking session where people with big ideas meet with people with big money that come globally. This is a conference that put together 5,000 plus, and you have government, investors, private sector, and that dialogue for Rwandan companies that are that level, it's crucial. I wouldn't encourage anybody to miss AFSF, especially when it's hosted in Rwanda. And as Agra, we facilitate, even discount access to Rwandan companies from big to small. You said policy, SME, what was the third one you wanted?
It was about future projection, yes.
Okay. Future projection for Agra Rwanda. We like operating on a goal, right? Like our last strategy, the goal was to really, really make a dent in the seed system. We achieved it. Because before 2017...
Actually, I want to ask how do you
Yes.
sustain
Yeah.
this food system? Because you may establish seed companies, but sustainability is another thing. How do you work on that?
Right. So, for example, how do we preserve the gains we've made in the seed system, right?
Okay, exactly.
So, 2017, Rwanda was importing all its maize improved seed. 2022, we were able to produce and meet our local demand for maize seed. How will we maintain that trajectory, or even reach a level where we meet our need and have surplus for export? Secret again, private sector.
And meeting the standards and all the protocols required.
Right. Private sector in collaboration with government. So for the seed specifically, as I told you, 2016, there was 2 seed companies. Now we have over 20 companies. They need to be regulated. They need to be coordinated. They need to be capacitated. And there is a National Seed Trading Association and many other platforms that bring these seed producers together. And we like investing there because these are the producers. If they stop producing, we go backward. But 2, quality control. We have been actually at the helm of operationalizing RICA, and RICA is the one that is mandated.
That is the regulatory body for seed?
The regulatory body for the seed. So we, from its day one, we've been there, making sure that the laboratory is up to standard. We rehabilitated that laboratory, we equipped it, and dealing with the capacity issue of the inspectors. When they start, they have only 8 inspectors for the whole country. We introduced the private sector. Now they have over 32 inspectors.
Amazing.
And making sure that not only there is production, but there is also quality control so that what is produced meets standard. I believe if all goes well, before the end of this year or early next year, we will secure ISTA accreditation. ISTA stands for International Seed Trading Association. When you have their label, it's like an S-mark, you can trade your seeds anywhere internationally. So that's how we sustain. That's how we maintain the gains.
So the importer will become an exporter then?
Actually, today, the situation has been reversed. We used to import, now we are starting to export.
Okay, good to hear. So, JP, as we wind up this conversation, before we put an end to this conversation, I'd like to ask you, as a person who has been involved in this journey, as Agra celebrate 20 years of intervention in Rwanda and across Africa, what best practice would you like to share? What moment we never forget?
Many moments that are hard for me to forget. But let me start from encouragement. Not often, but when time allows, we get audience with the head of state.
Wow.
You know, and when we meet with His Excellency, the message is clear, you know. Are you an asset or a liability? You know, are you helping the country or hurting the country? I remember in one of those audience when he mentioned that he used to go around the country and people were complaining that there is no seed, and now that noise has reduced. That's a highlight for me, you know, and hearing from that level, you know, it's encouraged you even to do more, right? But that's now at the government level. Private sector level, we, as I told you, we support private sector secure funds. And in my tenure at Agra, I've seen at least 3 companies secure more than $5 million deal, you know, with the foreign investors. That makes me happy because that's more jobs, that's more market, and playing a role in helping somebody grow and get bigger makes me happy. Now, bring it even down to these SMEs, youth-owned. I think we were together in Senegal, you know, seeing 10, 15 Rwandan youth carrying their samples to a big conference like ours and then say, we sold everything, you know, our product was, you know, liked, you know. It gives me an indication that actually Rwanda could easily become like the Netherlands, you know, of Africa. You know, Netherlands is a very small country like Rwanda, but it's the second largest exporter of agriculture.
But not really like ours.
Right? Yeah, it has many benefits, but also for us, here also could be a benefit, you know, because there are some plants that like, you know, hilly area, coffee and all those kind of things. So my point is, one of my highlights is to see made in Rwanda now starting to trade across Africa, across the globe, and kind of engineered, you know, by Rwandans, you know, especially young Rwandans. That makes me happy. And the last one, maybe to close, is this farmer in the remote area of the country who used to worry who will buy their pineapple or their beans. Now, who 3, 4, 5 buyers are coming to negotiate. Will you sell me your maize? Will you sell me your pineapples? And now they have a choice. You are giving me 50. You are giving me 70. No, I give to this one who is giving me 80. To me, that makes me happy because it raises their, you know, profile and their ability to make decision. And this investment we've done in Isoko and others so that they can know the price, you know, is giving Rwandans information to the point where those people, Abamamyi, who used to come and cheat them, they have no room. And those to me are highlights. Yeah.
That's good. So this question leads me to
Right.
FSF 2026. So even coincide with the celebration of 20 years of Agra. So Rwanda is home to Secretariat of FSF. What does it mean for Agra?
Oh, it means a lot. AFSF brings together over 34 partners, you know, and those include the who and the who in the agriculture sector. So being the convener of such round table, it means that there is something they see in Agra that want them to associate with us. So first, it's a good brand, you know, to have, where governments, private sector, by the way, not even Africans only, international, you know, Yara and all these big companies, IFAD, wanting to come and sit on the table with us and our partner, it means a lot. Government, you know, when you see heads of states responding to the invitation to come and spend the time to discuss agriculture, it means a lot. People who come with money, actually, I'm starting to see a new development where before we used to think it's Muzungu, it's white people coming with money. Now it's diaspora now. Rwandans abroad and Africans abroad saying, we want to invest back in Africa, and they need a connector. They need a bridge builder. And you are able to play that bridge for them. I think you will know that now people are starting to invest 200 hectares of avocado. They are starting to invest 50 hectares of chili. And you're looking at that. When you look back, it's a Rwandan. When you look back, it's an African. And to me, that makes me kind of say, okay, this FSF is playing its role and it's making its
and Rwanda being home to FSF Secretariat, what does it mean? What type of value addition?
Big value addition. One is the ability to attract 5,000 people in the country comes with a check, because those 5,000 people will use our Rwanda. They'll stay in our hotel. They'll eat our food after the conference or before they visit our gorillas and do others. So roughly, I count close to 3.5 million net gain from every time we host, AFSF, and that's not small money, for the country and for Rwandan business. Last time we facilitated sales of agriculture food to restaurants around big events. And on those peak moments when we have many people in Rwanda, where there is a peak demand in meat.
I remember poultry, the restaurant week happening here in Kigali.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you have a secretariat that can bring those people, and then we go back, negotiate, market for these young people, it means also a lot. But also lastly, these people bring knowledge, the level of discussion. Maybe you should find a way to podcast part of these, sessions, like maybe the ones that have our head of states or the level of knowledge and input and insight that you gain there. You could pay for it. It's really rich in content, and the Bible says people die for lack of knowledge. So where people can access knowledge, I feel like it's a good value for money.
Jean-Paul Ndagijimana, Agra Country Director in Rwanda, thank you very much for this insightful conversation as Agra marks 20 years of existence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, viewers, listeners, for this very, very unique episode of our podcast. We'll keep updating you on relevant matters. When agriculture comes first, we'll be there for you. Thank you very much.